Let your curiosity rise.
Mad Bricks webcast,
Where the human spirit flies. Mad Bricks webcast, where the human spirit flies.
Hey, welcome to the Medbix Webcast. Welcome to the Medbix Webcast. This is Ramana Annamaraju. I'm the host. I have a pioneer today on my podcast today. He's a pioneer in Silicon Valley. I tell you, he is one of the most notable figures in technology side. So you may not know, but I did a lot of work indirectly with his company a long time ago when I was a student in New York. I used to work actually I tried. First I joined as a master's in computer science, so that's why I interacted his company indirectly. We'll talk about that in a second. But before that, let me introduce you my co-host. She's a bold, beautiful, brainy from Fort Myers. She's joining Dr. Susan Davis. She's a doctor of nursing practice. Welcome, Susan. Welcome
Good
to the
evening, Ramana.
Medbix.
Yeah, Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What an exciting night.
Yeah, I actually went to Montreal, Canada, University of Montreal, Concordia University. I studied computer science. I joined as a master's in computer science first. Then I moved to healthcare later on. During that time, I did learn so much about computers. I'm one of the first guys at the time. Even the PCs are not just coming out. At the time, there is most of them are IBM computers, and we have to do punch cards. We'll talk with him about that, So I did, my brother is a nuclear engineer, so he was also doing a lot of these mainframes in Canada. And then I moved to University of Oklahoma for a nuclear engineering and all those things. But there's a lot of, but I started my own company there in New York, PC clones. I used to sell computers to the doctors to print ICFA forms, 1,500 ICFA forms, so you can print out the forms. I used to sell the floppy drive and those kind of things. So we'll talk with him. But let me introduce you through a video of him actually. And let me play the video.
I'm in awe of his experience. I cannot wait.
Kanwal Rekhi's life embodies one of the greatest arcs of the modern era, from a forced displacement in the aftermath of partition to the frontiers of the Silicon Valley innovation.
In 1947, 200 years of British rule came to an abrupt end, and this vast subcontinent was divided between an independent India and the new Muslim homeland of Pakistan. It was called Partition, but this British-led plan became one of the most catastrophic events of the 20th century. Across India, millions of Muslims, Hindus and Sikhs fled their homes in the largest forced migration ever recorded. Over 1 million people lost their lives in the chaos and violence of partition.
Rekhi's 13 family members crossed a hostile border into a fragile, newly independent nation, India, struggling to define its future. Out of instability emerged discipline and resolve. Rekhi studied engineering at the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, and later moved to the United States to earn a master's degree in electrical engineering at the Michigan Technological University. After a series of jobs and layoffs, Kanwal Rekhi eventually found his way to Silicon Valley. What began as uncertainty became a transformative turning point, one that would change both his life and the future of modern communication. TCP/IP stands for Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol. Sounds technical, but it is the foundational language of the computer communication, enabling machines across the world to exchange information reliably. Modern medicine is one of its most critical beneficiaries. From text messages and emails to electronic health records, lab results, radiology images, and so on. In Silicon Valley, Kanwal Rekhi played a pivotal role in transforming TCP/IP protocol from an academic idea into reliable computer hardware, Ethernet interface card, helping make every computer a first-class citizen of the global network. Every computer able to send, receive, recover from errors and participate reliably. That transformation is what allowed global computer communication and eventually modern digital medicine to scale. Thanks to Mr. Kanwal Rekhi. Kanwal Rekhi became the first Indian American entrepreneur to lead a company to a public listing on the Nasdaq exchange.
Why can we change the image and brand of India and Indians? And the only way you can change the brand of India and Indians is by showing to the world, hey, we are as smart people as anybody else. You can't tell people we are smart. You have to show it to them.
Kanwal Rekhi co-founded TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs, a non-profit organization to move Indian entrepreneurs from the margins to the center of Silicon Valley's innovation economy. Through mentorship, trusted networks, and access to capital, TIE enabled Indian founders to become a company builders, investors, and board-level directors. Today, TIE has grown into 63 chapters across 17 countries worldwide, an impact made possible by Kanwal Rekhi's vision and leadership. He remained deeply devoted to his alma mater, Michigan Technological University. He gave back through lasting philanthropy. The university honored him with an honorary degree, doctorate, and building named for him and his beloved late wife Ann Rekhi. Today, Dr. Kanwal Rekhi continues to inspire young founders. His life stands as a testament to service through entrepreneurship.
Romana, that was an excellent video.
Excellent. Welcome, Dr. Kanwal Rekhi. Let me introduce Dr. Kanwal. Kanwalji, welcome. Dr.
Okay.
Kanwal, you are now.
So where did you get all that video? That's pretty impressive.
I combined. Is that anything wrong? Everything is okay in the video? Everything is correct,
Yeah,
right?
everything was just fine. It was just fine.
Yeah, I remember, whether I want to tell you, I used to buy Ethernet cards. I used to assemble PCs in New York City. I used to buy cards from your company, Exelon, and then Novell. I did both companies. I used to buy. I remember talking with you. I'm not sure exactly, but Novell and Exelon. I'm not a big buyer because I used to sell computers to the doctors and do the networking in 80s, late 80s and late 80s. So I remember. Let us start with the process in the beginning. Partition, for example, your family moved from Pakistan, British India at the time, to Pakistan. Is there any that you are very young person at the time? Tell me the process and the stress and the moving to new place and can you give me some background in that?
So I was only 2 years old. So I don't have the first-hand memory, but I lived with the memories of my father, my grandfather, my mother, throughout my life. And especially my grandmother, she couldn't believe that they were not going back to their house in Rawalpindi. The British left India in a very shameful fashion. They were there for 200 years, and when they decided to leave, they hightailed out of India in 6 weeks. So of course there was a chaos. There was no plan. There was no, nothing. They announced independence. They drew the line on the map: India, Pakistan, and they left. So of course, 15 million people had to move. 7.5 million from India to Pakistan side, and 7.5 from other side to this side, and 1 million people perished. 1 million people died in the process. It was a very shameful act, and the American historian wrote about that one, that there was no reason for them to do that. And it turns out, the viceroy,
Mountbatten, right? Lord Mountbatten at the time.
he was competing for the job of head of the defense forces, and he wanted to be back in England, so he would be passed over. And the announcement of independence came in something like end of June, and they were out of India by middle of August. It was a but my father was in the army, so we had a little bit of a more orderly exit than many other people, but it was still pretty bad. And we crossed over to India somewhere, I think in September of 47, and I was 2 years old. I was born on September 3rd, and life wasn't settled for me anyway till 1954, 7 years later. We moved every 6 months.
Where did you move to? Kanpur, right?
Kanpur is where we ended up. So we
Okay.
came from Pakistan to Firozpur. From Firozpur, we went down to Sikandrabad near Hyderabad. From
Oh,
there,
really? That's my home, my second hometown.
yeah,
Oh,
from Sikandrabad, we went down to
And they
Pune.
have a cantonment, military cantonment
Right,
there,
these
right?
these are all cantonments.
Yeah.
And then we went down to Pune, and from Pune we went to Agra,
Oh my
and
God.
from Agra we went to Kanpur, and finally my father, was worried about education of the children, so we settled in Kanpur, and he went on his assignments without family. So we were settled in Kanpur from 1954 on. So and that's when I started my formal education. And till then, my grandfather, would tutor me at home. So
Then you moved. Then eventually your father was not there. He was moving around in the cantonments, different cantonments, right?
Yeah.
Military. At least he have a military schools are good, decent, better than outside schools. He's not.
yeah, but we weren't there long enough in any one of those areas to
Yeah, that's a.
yeah.
So then he went to the Indian Institute of Technology.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was- that was in 1963,
yeah.
and so
How
Indian
is that experience? Technology, BTech experience in Mumbai as expensive for you. You got the scholarship. How did you manage the
no
whole
no
thing?
the IITs were essentially free. They were government of India institutes. The tuition, the tuition for the whole year was 200 rupees. Which at that time meant about $40. And the dorm rooms are basically free. You have to pay for your food, but the total cost of education, this is now 1963, was maybe $200 a year. So a comparable education in the US would have been 10 times that
Yeah.
that number, maybe even more, right?
Susan, think about that. Indian education is such a free system, almost free for all of us. I did a finish master's degree in $18, and Kanwal Rekhi ji passed the BTech or BE at the time. That she passed that with a small amount of money. It is the American system. That's where India became powerful because of people like Kanwal Rekhi ji. That system is education was an investment. Is not a lot of people think in this country education should be enterprise. But let me ask you, Kanwalji, what do you think of in this country's education system? Why they make it so expensive even for Americans? Tell me a little bit about that. What do you think about it?
Yes. So so a couple of things, right? Yeah, the education in America was not always this expensive. Yeah, someplace along the line, yeah, I don't know which year. Yeah, when I went to Michigan Tech, the annual tuition was $2,000 for master's degree. Yeah, and maybe another $2,000 required to yeah, for the dorm room and the food. So it wasn't that expensive. The Michigan Tech, tuition now is almost $60,000.
Can you, Kanwalji, can you come in the center a little bit? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you,
in
sir.
Michigan Tech education, Michigan Tech tuition now is close to $60,000. When I came to Michigan back in 1967, the state of Michigan paid 85% of the expenses for the university. Yeah, and they had to get 15% from the tuition and other means. Now, state of Michigan pays maybe 10% of the tuition expenses for the university. The university has to raise 90% of the expenses from others, mostly from tuition. And somewhere along the line, the U.S. had this notion of loans, student loans, where they loaded up the student with a massive amount of loans. A young kid doesn't know any better, is borrowing, his father, his grandfather, sort of, and didn't support his education by and large, and the government wasn't supporting anymore. So U.S. education system is a mess right now. People come out of universities with a loan that they pay for next 20 years, sometimes, right? And I hear if you're a doctor, you're paying your loans into your 50s.
Yeah.
So which is a shame, right?
It's a shame. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So this is a become enterprise. Susan, let me ask you the question related to Susan. Kind of, I can ask question. Did you feel during this time, because you went through, your family went through partition, your father and mother, did you feel that trauma inside in your family? Anything? Is there any trauma for the partition carried in your life, you think, anywhere?
There was no time to worry about trauma or anything. Life goes on. You have to put the food on the table. Children have to be educated. Bills have to be paid. So the refugees from Pakistan, they were very well off when they were there. They were educated people. They were professionals. So when they left everything behind and ended up in India, they still had their skills. They still had their energy. And so they just had to jump in and do whatever needed to be done, to survive. And places like Kanpur, and Delhi, were energized by these Punjabi refugees who were high energy people, highly motivated people. Kanpur was a sleepy town, and Kanpur became, 100,000 people came to Kanpur, at the time of partition. 100,000, which basically, was like 20-30% of the population of the city at the time. So there was no time to worry about, what you left behind. What would you do? You just had to,
Yeah.
move on. And that's what we did. So our parents, showed us the way. You can't, sit back, look around for help. You just have to do whatever needs to be done.
Yeah. Ramana,
No.
that resilience, that story, that pilgrimage, that's the step by step that led to what we're seeing in this great man here today. I don't think many people in the States or in school or in education have had any such of a start. They don't have roots such as this that builds such strong foundation of resilience, of which there is no time to do anything other than go forward, onward and upward. Look what he accomplished from 47 to 63 alone. So I'm standing by for the rest of this wonderful story. Thank you.
That's an amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. By the time, early 60s, I think being a refugee was not seen as a bad honor. that you were no more refugee, you were no more dependent upon anybody else, was the way to define yourself. And so the government of India was very generous. They were very generous. They provided a lot of help, but government of India was very poor, so they couldn't really provide that much help, right? So they did whatever they could. But by 1960s, most of the refugees were doing fairly well in India. Yeah.
Kanwalji, I wanted to ask you that you moved from Florida, Fort Lauderdale, journey to Silicon Valley. Tell us a little bit about that journey. How did you end up in what you're doing in Fort Lauderdale anyway?
So I started in Michigan, right? And my first job was in New Jersey. So I went to New Jersey in 1969, and I was there for 7-8 months, and I lost my job. 1970, 69, 70 was a very bad time. If you go back and look at the history, Nixon had become president in 68 fall. Right. Vietnam War was winding down. Space program was winding down. The U.S. economy was in a very bad shape. So in our industry, in the computer industry, the mini computer industry was being shaken up by there were 30, 40, 50 startups, and a winner was emerging in digital equipment. That was the winner. So other companies are failing. My company shut down. So I was there 7 months on my first job. Then I got a job with a company in Fort Lauderdale, a company called SCL, Systems Engineering Labs, which was a supplier to NASA, computers to NASA. And so I was there for 7-8 months, and they went out, they got in trouble. And
Again.
Because NASA was turning back. There was no plan beyond the Apollo program to put the man on the moon. There was no follow-up program. The space shuttle was 10 years away. Space shuttle was 10 years away. So for 10 years, NASA was laying off people, and NASA was a very big buyer of computers and a very big employer of engineers. So I got laid off second time. Then I took a job with a large company called RCA Computer Systems. RCA is the owner of NBC, was the owner of NBC at the
phone
time.
record company, right?
Yeah, in Master's Voice. But very people know RCA was a owner of NBC, Banquet Food, Hertz, Rent a Car. They had 20 companies like that. And they were in trouble. So they were in trouble. So I got laid off third time. Within 2 years, I got laid off third time. And I had gotten married. There's a story that I want to tell there to Anne. In 71 earlier, and she and I drove out to Bay Area, Santa Clara Valley at the time, because this is where the stuff was starting to happen. The new chip companies were formed. There was a startup called Intel. There was an Intel startup, AMD startup, National Semiconductor startup. So we drove across the country in my old beat up Chevy, and we arrived here around first week of December in 1971. So it's been 54 years since we arrived here, and and then I found a stable job, and I did fairly well in that job. So and I were married in March of 71. She and I were pen pals when I was in India. There was this New York World Fair, in 1965, where a Parker Pen had a pavilion.
Yes.
They offered to match you up with the people all over the world. So she had gone to that New York World Fair, and she signed up to find a pen pal, and I had signed up to find a pen pal in India, and we were matched. And so we were writing to each other for several years. With no thought of ever, we'll ever meet. And then I'm here in the US and we are still writing to each other. And eventually, she said, "Oh, I want to meet you." She came to see me, in Fort Lauderdale. When I just moved after my second, layoff, after my first layoff, and we were, there for 2 weeks, and I said, "Let's get married." She said, "We just met." Yeah. And I said, "Well, we've been writing to each other for 4 years. We know each other for 4 years." And a few weeks later, she said yes. And so we were married, a few months later. And and so, she passed away this year. She had cancer, but we were married for 54 years.
Oh,
Sorry to hear that, Rekhi ji, and sorry.
It is a sad story, but she was in bad shape. Cancer was pretty bad. And so she was, she's in a better place now.
pen pals. I'll tell you something. That's a blast from the past.
Yeah. So it was a very very good love marriage. She was very inspirational to me as a person. And remember in 1971 when we got married in March, the interracial marriages were just not happening. If you go back and look at history, the 1969, 1968, the Supreme Court allowed the interracial marriages as legal. I think that was a Loving versus state of Virginia. There was a movie recently, Loving versus state of Virginia, where a white man married a black woman, and they were arrested and put in jail, and that case went all the way to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court finally said, they have a right to marry. So when we were married, there were not too many interracial, interstate, international, intercultural, couples, right?
So then, after moving to California, that you went into entrepreneurship, right? So how is your friends and family took that? We have a stable job, and then tell me the journey of entrepreneurship.
That was 11 years later.
Yeah,
I arrived in 1971. We having been laid up 3 times. We were looking for more stable setup. Which we found. We bought a house. We had 2 children. My daughter came in 76, and my son was born in 79. By 1980, I was starting to feel very restless. The Indians were not getting promotions. I was very good at what I was doing, but everybody else was getting promotions, and I was feeling left behind. And I said, I am only 34, 35, and if I don't move up the ladder, I'm going to be stuck. And that eventually said, they are not going to promote me, so I have to go do it myself. And that was the starting point. So IBM PC was announced in 1981. 1981 September, when the IBM PC was announced. And
so
also I realized this PC will have to network with mainframes and mini computers. And that's what I decided to do.
So that's after moving to Ethernet. Tell us your journey to Ethernet card. Ethernet. I used to buy. You don't know. I used to buy from Laval Ethernet card. I used to be in New York City. I used to assemble computers for a Guru. I don't know whether you remember or not. Guru computers, a small.
See, those are very dynamic years, right? The
Yeah,
early,
it is.
early
I
days
used
of
to buy from
PC.
Taiwan. Taiwanese guys used to bring a lot of these
Yeah,
fake cards there
yeah,
from there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that is I remember that those days.
yeah.
Tell us a
Lots
little
of
bit of a journey to the Ethernet card and the TCP/IP protocols.
so I didn't invent Ethernet,
Mm. Yeah,
and I did not invent TCP/IP. Ethernet was uh, came out of Xerox part.
yeah.
Xerox part in Palo Alto, Palo Alto Research Center. Yeah, they came up with this protocol called Ethernet, for future networking, and they put that in public domain. And TCP/IP came out of University of California in Los Angeles, UCLA.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was funded by the ARPA, DARPA,
Mm.
grants. Yeah, so it was sort of government-funded network designed for the Department of Defense. So when I started to decide, to do the networking, I looked around. I say I can build Ethernet boards. The specifications are out, and I can build them very quickly. I can take the TCP/IP protocols and put them together, and I have a networking solution. So I was able to do that very quickly. Like within 2-3 months after I decided to start the company. So we were out there with 2 to 3 years before anybody else was able to do that.
Hmm.
So Ethernet boards from us were available in 1982. When everybody else's board were available in 84, 85. So we had a 2 to 3 years jump on everybody. So we became very established networking suppliers. Those ads that you showed, were the ads that I ran in 83, 84, 85. So I used to say, if you want to network your PC with your mini computer mainframe, we have the solution for you, right?
That's where I used to set up doctors' computers in the doctor's offices. I used to buy from Noval and the Exelon. I thought I bought it Exelon too, so I don't
Yeah,
remember exactly. Tell us, you went public, Exelon. Tell us,
yeah.
uh,
Epsilon went public in 1987 February,
you
and
became wealthy after that, right?
yeah. So 80. Going public is a very big honor, right?
Yes.
Company is doing well enough to be seen as a worthy of selling shares to the public. The 87 February we went public. Novell came, and by the way, Microsoft also came to acquire us in 89. They both of them wanted to acquire us because we had lots of technology, we had lots of stuff. They both thought they would need, but a Novell offer was much better than the Microsoft offer at the time. So we merged with Novell in 1989 summer.
So you didn't wade into the shallow end of entrepreneurship. You jumped into the deep end.
Yes,
swam,
yes,
swam
yeah.
and brought home the trophy.
Yeah, so there was a problem, right? So Anne was worried, that we may not be able to pay, the mortgage bills. We may not be able to feed our children. And I told her, if we get in trouble, I will eat my pride and I'll go back and get a job. But I need at least a year. And we had savings for about a year. We used up all the savings. We took the settled mortgage on the house. So we went all in here. Definitely jumped off the deep end.
Yes.
Your Punjabi culture came down there being bold.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Partly confidence, partly being foolhardy. Yeah, the notion of being a lifer, as an engineer just didn't appeal to me, right?
So when did you turn in?
Entrepreneurship is not the definition of entrepreneurship. Foolhardy is, I think, on the first line.
Well, so I tell people, being an entrepreneur is betting on yourself. So what appears to be a foolish move to the others appears to be a very well calculated move to yourself. I knew for sure I could do magic, with technology, and could I sell, could I market, could I price, could I, manage? Those were the things to be, found out, and so, the, found those things, to be fairly straightforward, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
So, yeah.
after Novel, you became a completely businessman, right? After Novel, then you became an investor, and you
No,
invested like
I became completely businessman when I became CEO. Back in
yeah, yeah, that's yeah.
1985. As a CEO, you worry about business, sales. You worry about margins. You worry about yeah, yeah, your management structure. Right. So by the time we merged with Novell, I was a very solid business person. 89. Yeah, after we yeah left after I left Novell in 1995, I became less of a businessman and more of a public,
Investor.
not investor, mentor. Investments came later. We
Okay.
started. We did the tie in 1984. I spent my full time at tie. So I wasn't out to invest. I was helping young entrepreneurs, mentoring them, helping them sharpen their thinking. The investments happened because these people needed money, and VCs wouldn't give them the money. And I said, I will bet. I'll use my own money to back these people up. So investments were not the primary motivation, but I did very very well as some of those investments were very paid off handsomely. And so again it was a positive feedback to me from the market, that I had a knack for mentoring young entrepreneurs and picking the winners.
Susan, sorry about you, because I'm part of that history. You know that you invested in Exodus, right? The BB Jagadish. In fact, during that time, I invited Jagadish to Atlanta. BB Jagadish came down to talk in our Dr. Naveen Nanda and all those doctors meeting. We wanted to introduce the technology to doctors. So we invited a Bibi Jagadish to Atlanta at the time. I'm one of them. Invitation, we sent it. And I remember he was telling me Kanwal Rekhi was the investor for you. Kanwal Rekhi ji investor for us. So tell us, that investment turned out to be big for you, right?
It turned out to be very very good investment. So again, now this is 1995.
Okay.
Internet is starting to happen.
Yeah.
If you remember, 1995 was the year, when the browser came out.
Yeah.
And so BB Jagdish and KB Chandrasekhar
No,
had
yeah.
an idea. Hey, internet will happen. All the consumers will be on the internet, and businesses will have to be on the internet, to reach their customers. So they were visionaries that, yeah, yeah, this will change the world, and we can enable businesses to get on the internet and set up their websites. So Exodus means leave your facilities and go to internet, right? So their idea and their that businesses will have to be on the internet, and they will need help to get on the internet, and Exodus will provide that help. Was a very compelling idea. And so I wrote the chat to keep them going. And they took off like a rocket. The At one time, half of all the internet traffic was going through their data centers. They pioneered the notion of data centers.
I visited the center actually. BB Jagadish invited me to. I came down during that time and visited the center. Yeah, it's a big, huge, fascinating place. Yeah.
Yeah. BB is still a good friend. He doesn't live too far from here.
So let me ask you, Kanwalji, you were Thai, group, but it's a technology indus entrepreneurs, right? A network that you started it to promote Indian entrepreneurs to be in the center stage. You wanted to mentor them, become a businessman. What do you tell us that journey a little bit about it, and how Indians are always wanted to work. I joined the work as I'm one of the
So,
not successful, but I'm one of those guys, become an entrepreneur. I was successful one time at least. But go ahead, tell us that
so,
journey to the
so my
entrepreneurship.
personal journey was very lonely journey.
Very
Yeah,
lonely.
even and had trouble believing that I could do things like selling, marketing, managing. Because she knew I was a smart engineer, and she believed in me as an engineer, but she wasn't sure that I was going to succeed in sales, marketing, and other things. So there were no believers. Nobody believed in us. So it was a very lonely journey, very lonely journey. And so by 95, when I had done well, I was thinking of, hey, people shouldn't see us as smart people. They were not seen as smart people. They were still seen as same as they were doing that back in 1982. So the whole idea of TIE was, how do we encourage, inspire our people to become entrepreneurs, and how do we mentor them, to make sure they have a fighting chance of success. So the TIE wasn't there to favor Indians. It was there to help them cross that barrier, right? And the timing turned out to be very good. 1995, browser Trump's internet is happening. Indians are becoming entrepreneurs. Sabir Bhatia, Sabir Bhatia did the Hotmail. Hotmail was a very big hit very quickly. Microsoft acquired Hotmail for $400 million back in 1986, 87. And yeah, so all of a sudden, Exodus is doing really well. There were half a dozen companies like that, that I was involved with. There were Indians were everywhere. So the pendulum swung. Indians, are
You are
good.
instrumental for that, Kanwalji. You are the instrumental to bring a lot of Indians to Silicon Valley. No question about that. You are the father of all of them. Susan, I'll let you talk, because I don't want to dominate all the women. There is no woman. I'll let you ask questions. I don't want to
Well,
be.
thank you,
In
Ramana.
the tech industry, let me tell you, Susan, tech industry is so dominant about men. We need more women, no question.
No,
Ask that question to why there is not an Indian woman to be more proper. Ask her, any
no,
woman.
the women are starting to do well. Jashiri Olal, she is the CEO of Arista Networks, which is a $20 billion company.
Yeah, well,
She,
first of all, it's a pleasure for me just to listen to you and listen to your stories from both of you. And I know Ramon is excited to have you on because of he's so familiar with your story. But I will ask, and he very much is paying attention to women. In fact, Ty, from what I understand, not only has a focus on high schools these days, it's in colleges, and there's a whole new Ty for women specifically.
oh yeah. So Thai, always focuses on underprivileged or appreciated. So the women women program, Thai youth program, TYE, yeah, yeah. So so as a matter of fact, I personally have focused on bringing the technology entrepreneurship to Midwest, Heartland America. I went back to Michigan Tech. I preach the gospel of entrepreneurship there, and we have startups happening in Michigan, Upper Michigan, now as a result. We went back to India, to tell them to become entrepreneurs. Indians were into jobs, and now we've been also talking about going to Africa. We have a Thai chapter in Nairobi. We have a Thai chapter coming up in Lagos. We have a Thai chapter coming up in Johannesburg. So so the thought is that entrepreneurship is a way to leapfrog, and nobody will hold you back. Nobody can hold. Go
It
ahead.
seems as if with your Thai, you've come up with a recipe to remedy the loneliness of entrepreneurship. And
So
you
that is the idea.
yes, sir, mentoring, networking, educating, funding, and then incubating, and that all of it
Yeah.
wrapped together is everything that you wished probably you had at the very beginning. I know as an entrepreneur myself, I was so excited reading what you offered through that amazing organization. And I even found, I might say, a chapter in Tampa, Florida, just north of me. So
Oh yeah. I was there in Tampa, Florida chapter's launch. About 10, 15 years ago, I was there. By the way, the entrepreneurs are a little bit of odd people. Yeah,
yes,
a
indeed.
little bit of because they are taking the risk.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they feel a little bit misfit. Yeah. So the Thai becomes a place where they find the kindred spirit. They find people who are just like them. Yeah. So they are no longer art people. Everybody's like them. So that was the starting point. It's like going to church or temple and finding the believers just like yourself, right? And nobody will understand your religion, but the fellow church member will support you, right? And the
Yes.
other part was that you found mentors, people who had been there, who had done it, and and eventually you also found some money, but money was not the primary driver. It was
No.
being there, having mentors, having inspiration.
That's everything. That's why to be an entrepreneur and not have a mentor is being lost in a very large
Yeah.
maze. And you just keep trying each path. You keep trying a different path and trying a different path. But with a mentor, it's so difficult to find someone who's been where you're trying to go.
The entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. You have very high highs and very low lows in a very rapid succession. One day you're at the top of the world, and next day you fall off the edge of the earth. So a mentor is there to hold you steady during that phase.
Yeah.
I talked about it's like teaching how to ride a bicycle to your son, to your child. You run along, you hold the thing in the back of the seat. And it doesn't take much effort before the child is able to ride on his own. But he needs that support. He needs that confidence, right?
Kanwalji, my brother came same time as you are in Canada. He was doing electrical engineering in University of Toronto. So I remember those days. That is he became one of the first few people migrated from India to Canada and United States. But I met you several times. I asked you the investment for healthcare. You you were saying that too many regulations. You said that several times.
Yeah, everybody I meet wants investment. Everybody. I meet.
Because you're a wealthy man.
I'm 80. I don't have the same passion, same intensity. And same. I'm not. I'm sort of semi-retired right now, right? So I'm focused on making sure that I live happily ever after till the last day I live, right? So by the way, University of Toronto, just north of Toronto, is Waterloo, town of Waterloo.
What are they are, Dr. Vidyasagar? Do you know Dr. Vidyasagar?
Yeah. University of
Yeah.
Waterloo.
We used to come to our house all the time, Vidyasagar.
Yeah, University of Waterloo was very
Very
Yeah.
famous.
into
The
stuff.
Professor Vidyasagar is a friend of my brother. We used to visit each other.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Kanwal Rekhi, before we finish. You are now 80s. Your Sikhism, one of the things is powerful about one thing you're talking about Sikhism I heard. When you ask something, you're asking for others. And you said that one of the five tenets of the Sikhism. Tell us a little bit of your religious inclination, a little bit more of
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah. So Sikhism is a more modern religion, right? It's only about 550 years old. Yeah, maybe not yeah, maybe 500 years old. It's a very, if you look at the history, Sikhism came out of Punjab. Punjab was in the northwest India. It was the route the armies took to come to India. The Muslim armies came from Central Asia, from Iran, from Arabia. Yeah, they would come down, and it was a pretty brutal place to live. The Sikhism started as a resistance movement. How do we fight back? How do we fight back? And that means how do we join forces with all of us here? So Sikhism became very much of a group, thinking, we are a team, we are a group, so it became a very much of that way, how do we defend all of us, our wives, our children, our properties. So the religion became very much of a group religion. When you ask for something, you don't ask for yourself, you ask for everybody
yeah,
in the
but
group.
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and that has worked really well, really well. You will never find a Sikh better. You will never find a Sikh person who is who's in a bad shape, because the community takes care of itself.
Yes.
A Sikh temples have a free food for all. Even the temple here in San Jose, free food lunchtime, free food dinner time every day. You can walk in and get a free food, and if you need a place to stay, they will have a room for you to stay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Sikhism is a religion of sharing, a religion of paying back, and so as a result, it has done really well.
I think that translates well to certain entrepreneurial journeys as well. I think a lot of us start out for that same very purpose. It's to help as many as we can. You said yourself, the money will come later. When you have that resilience and you just keep going, the object is to serve.
Yeah, the entrepreneurship is about forming a team. You finding the people to partner with, and you win together, right? Yeah, it's a rare individual who's a lonely entrepreneur. Yeah, you
Let-
need at least 2 to 3 people together in the beginning.
Susan does that. Actually, Susan was instrument. She is a kind of trying to do worldwide, Kanwalji, that she wants to provide the CPR, the cardiac arrest training program, and provide machines for those around the country.
Yeah.
Particularly starting my village, I was talking about with her about my
So,
villages in southern India. Yeah.
so then we have a company. You should look up Tritod, TRICOG. Tritod is a company out of Bangalore, which does remote diagnosis of heart attacks. Yeah, and it's done using AI. This is one of the investments we made. You have to diagnose within like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. To be useful. So villages have the machines. There's a nurse who can connect that to internet very quickly, and we tell them it's heart attack, do this, do that. So Tritod is providing that. They are doing really well in India and in Africa.
Wonderful.
There's a shortage
Can
of
you connect with us? I would love to connect with them.
Yes,
Susan
I'd
and
love
you.
to connect with them. I would love to connect with them. My specialty is the training of everyone from laypersons to healthcare workers, anywhere in the world where patients are seen.
Yeah.
It's them managing those first few minutes and then trying to get AEDs so that every human on the planet has an AED within 3 minutes of where they live. So that's our big global goal.
Try look up a TRICOG, Tritod. And so
Promise.
they partnered with the GE and also with Omron, over the device makers.
Wonderful.
Kanwalji, thank you. It is. I wanted to give a last one word. Susan, go ahead and say. Then I will. We want to. I want to play that video one more time at the end, so you can see that again. But thank you to Kanwalji. It is truly an honor to have you. I know you for a long time. It is a really educational for all of us. You are a mentor. You're not only a mentor, you're a trailblazer in the industry. You took a lot of
I tell
influence.
people, it was. I was lucky that I got laid off 3 times early in my life. It cleared up my head about jobs, the nature of jobs. You can't depend upon jobs. Jobs are.
Yeah.
You put in your
Thank
life.
you for joining with us.
You put
So,
in your
you
life.
want to say a final word? I don't want to.
I'm just blessed from spending time with you this evening. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I think your resilience is something that I admire. And you're fired, and then you got fired, and then you got fired, and then you moved and moved and moved, and look what happened. So this maybe not quite right in the mind entrepreneur is going to do just the same. So I thank you so much for inspiring me.
Let me play just see the video one more time, Kanwalji. I'm going to play that video. They say to goodbye before.
Kanwal Rekhi's life embodies one of the greatest arcs of the modern era. From
Can
a
you play that
forced
video,
displacement
the-
in the aftermath of partition
Why is
to
not
the
playing it?
frontiers
This
of the
is,
Silicon Valley innovation.
In 1947, 200 years of
this.
British rule came
I
to
don't
an
know
abrupt
why.
end,
I'm lost.
and this vast subcontinent was
disconnected.
divided between an independent India and the new Muslim homeland of
What happened?
Pakistan.
Are you there?
It was called
Susan?
Partition, but this British-led plan became one of the most catastrophic events of the 20th century. Across India, millions of Muslims, Hindus and Sikhs fled their homes in the largest forced migration ever recorded. Over 1 million people lost their lives in the chaos and violence of partition.
Rekhi's 13 family members crossed a hostile border into a fragile, newly independent nation, India, struggling to define its future. Out of instability emerged discipline and resolve. Rekhi studied engineering at the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, and later moved to the United States to earn a master's degree in electrical engineering at the Michigan Technological University. After a series of jobs and layoffs, Kanwal Rekhi eventually found his way to Silicon Valley. What began as uncertainty became a transformative turning point, one that would change both his life and the future of modern communication. TCP/IP stands for Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol. Sounds technical, but it is the foundational language of the computer communication, enabling machines across the board to exchange information reliably. Modern medicine is one of its most critical beneficiaries. From text messages and emails to electronic health records, lab results, radiology images, and so on. In Silicon Valley, Kanwal Rekhi played a pivotal role in transforming TCP/IP protocol from an academic idea into reliable computer hardware, Ethernet interface card, helping make every computer a first-class citizen of the global network. Every computer able to send, receive, recover from errors and participate reliably. That transformation is what allowed global computer communication and eventually modern digital medicine to scale. Thanks to Mr. Kanwal Rekhi. Kanwal Rekhi became the first Indian American entrepreneur to lead a company to a public listing on the Nasdaq exchange.
Why can we change the image and brand of India and Indians? And the only way you can change the brand of India and Indians is by showing to the world, hey, we are as smart people as anybody else. You can't tell people we are smart. You have to show it to them.
Kanwal Rekhi co-founded TIE, the Indus Entrepreneurs, a non-profit organization to move Indian entrepreneurs from the margins to the center of Silicon Valley's innovation economy. Through mentorship, trusted networks, and access to capital, TIE enabled Indian founders to become a company builders, investors, and board level directors. Today, TIE has grown into 63 chapters across 17 countries worldwide, an impact made possible by Kanwal Rekhi's vision and leadership. He remained deeply devoted to his alma mater, Michigan Technological University. He gave back through lasting philanthropy. The university honored him with an honorary degree, doctorate, and building named for him and his beloved late wife Ann Rekhi. Today, Dr. Kanwal Rekhi continues to inspire young founders. His life stands as a testament to service through entrepreneurship.
Good night, all. Good night, all of you. Good night. Good night, sir. Thank you for joining. It is truly an honor.
Thank you, Raman. Thank you, Susan.